Okay guys, I didn't know that I wasn't recording. I did get the bread baker out. Now, it came, you saw the box that it came in. I keep doing this because I got interrupted and then I go back and I start taping and the camera's not on. This is what I just took out of the package. And what I was saying is I never knew I could bake bread the way that I can. Thanks to Emil and Henry, I've learned that I can make really great bread. Now, I've never tried the loaf baker, but I was eager to do it because right now, I can, if you remember our old post and you saw the bread I've made with, let me just find it, the bread cloak, okay? It's amazing. So then I also have the baguette maker, which is not here. So I mean, I can make baguettes. I can make this really nice round, crusty round loaf of bread, artisan bread. It's just beautiful. And I just was so amazed. I mean, from the very first time, it's not something that you have to require all this skill at. I mean, my very first time. And prior to that, when I baked bread, there was always issues. So now with the loaves of bread, I really like a nice crusty loaf. I was never able to achieve that in a regular loaf pan, and I know that having something like this, it's going to solve that problem. So I'm going to show you exactly, you know, what we bake and how it works. There's some recipes in this booklet that came with it, and then tells you a little bit about other Emil and Henry pieces and some history. But I just use the bread recipe that they have when I have my bread cloak for my bread cloak, and it's perfect. It's perfect. It's quick, it's easy, and really, it's just amazing. You're just totally amazed that you can make bread like that. Okay, so now this is also available in the black. It's a nice heavy piece. It says bread on it. There are 2 holes in the top, 2 holes in the bottom, and it's in this nice red color, which I believe is called burgundy, but it's really red more than burgundy. Okay guys, so we're back. What I'm going to do is I'm not using a recipe for the loaf of bread that came in the guide because right now, you know, it's one of these oatmeal breads or something like that, and I don't want to make that. I want to make one of the quick bake recipes that's in the bread cloak recipe booklet. So I'm just going to wing this and use this recipe for the loaf pan, hoping that everything turns out. I think it should be fine. So this recipe calls for 3 cups of bread flour, 1 cup of warm water, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of caster sugar. I'll tell you right now, I make this recipe a lot. I added a little more sugar. We like it that way. 2 teaspoons of dried baker's yeast and 2 tablespoons of milk. So the first thing you do is heat the water up until it's warm, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which I've done. And in a kitchen bowl, you mix the flour, salt, sugar, and dried yeast. So that's what we're going to do. Everything's been measured out. So let me see. We're going to put the flour. Whoops, sorry about that. The salt. Sugar. The dried yeast. Okay, and then we're going to pour in the warm water and knead the dough for 2 to 3 minutes. So let's pull this over here. Pour in our warm water. Okay. And we're going to knead it first. Before I knead it, I'm just going to mix it a little bit just to get it to a dough-like consistency and make sure everything is incorporated in there. And then as soon as I get that, then I will go in and I will knead it. I'll knead it, you know, right in the bowl there, because just until it comes together. It's just the way I do it. You know, you might say, oh my gosh, you're doing that completely wrong. Okay, so let's just move this camera here a little bit. Okay, now that it's come together, I'm going to turn it out. I can and usually do knead right on my counter, but I just want to put it down on that right this second. And it's on there, that on there. And I'm a little awkward because I have a camera like right in front of me, so I really can't move around as like I would like to and use two hands. Now let's see if I can. Whoops, see, I'm losing my camera here. And the point of this is, as you can see, I love to bake. I'm not a bread expert. I'm not a bread expert by any shape or form. I'm a much better baker of cookies and everything. And I really thought that I couldn't really bake bread well until I started using the bread cloak and the baguette maker. And then that changed everything for me. This is the first time I'm going to use the loaf maker, so we're going to see what happens. I just want to put this in here and make sure that I get all of that incorporated into there. Okay, so we're almost done here with this kneading. Okay, now let's see what our next step is here. So we're going to make a ball with the dough, cover it with a tea towel, and leave to rise for 20 minutes in a warm place around 68 degrees Fahrenheit, sheltered from any drafts. Okay, so let's form this. into a bowl. We're going to put it back in our bowl here, and I'm going to cover it and let it rise for, and I'm just going to put it back there. I'm going to let that rise for 20 minutes. Okay, and we'll come back and I'll show you where we are in the process. Okay, so according to the directions, you let it rise 40 minutes. And remember, this is for the bread cloak. We knead it again. So we take it out. It's going to knead it over here. Move this to remove the carbon dioxide. And then we're going to, this is where we're going to improvise. Normally, we would shape this into a ball, put a little flour on the bottom of the bread cloak, and then let it rise for 45 minutes and brush with some milk, dust with flour, and bake. This is where we're going to change it up. And like I said, this is an experiment. But I think if it works well, it will help a lot of people, because there isn't a recipe for like a crusty loaf in the Emil and Henry cookbook for the loaf baker, just in the bread cloak. And I looked online and I saw a lot of people asking for it, and they were wondering about it. So if this does work, it will help a lot of people. And if it doesn't work, it'll probably help a lot of people too, because maybe we can figure out what it is. But we're gonna try to shape this into a loaf. It was like 70 degrees the other day. Now it is snowing not far from me. Thankfully not here, but it was so cold when I was picking peppers today. My hands felt like they had frostbite, even though they were in gloves. And I'm just going to leave it like that now. Again, I changed something here because on the other things for this, you're supposed to grease this and flour it a little bit, so that's what I did. So then I'm going to, this is the improvising. I did put butter on this, dusted it with a little flour. Now I put the loaf shape in there. I'm putting this on, but since the bread cloak doesn't have holes, I am going to put a cloth over that. I'm just going to put a cloth over that and let it rise 45 minutes. Then I'm going to do a little milk, sprinkle with a little flour, and then bake. Okay, so see you in about 45 minutes, guys. Okay, guys, so it is risen for another 45 minutes, and you'll see that it's, let me shut this timer here. Whoops. Okay, so you see that it's risen nicely, and you can put water, but I like to put milk along the top, and then I'm just going to dust with a little flour, put this back in, and you put it in a 460-degree oven. And like, again, this is trial and error, so I'm going to bake it for what it says on the loaf side, which is going to, hang on, I'll check 1 second. Just going to dust with a little flour. Okay, and then I'm going to replace the lid. So as soon as the oven's just finishing preheating. Okay, so the baking time for a loaf, which is like an oatmeal loaf that they made, was 45 minutes. So I'm going to start with that and see what happens. Again, this is the recipe I used for the bread cloak, so we'll see. All right, I'm going to put that in the oven, and then we'll come back and when it's done. Okay, guys. So you probably want to see what's under the lid. Should have my other lid on. Okay. Beautiful. Let me just put this lid down. Hang on. All right, so let me give you a look at the loaf. pretty nice, right? Let me get something to pop that out of there. I wonder if we'll be able to. Whoa, okay. All right, that was not so graceful, but check it out. Now remember that this is the recipe for the other bread that I used. And so I think I got exactly what I wanted, a nice crusty loaf, and it should be crusty all around. Okay, which is what that is. And we'll get the real idea when we cut into it. All right, and we'll cut into it and see how it is. Okay, so I'm going to cut the bread. Which I know I should just move it onto a cutting board, but it's got a very nice crust all around. I know I'm going to get a board in a second because this is not the way to slice this, but look at that. It's beautiful. Inside nice and soft, inside nice crust all around, steaming hot there. Let me get a board. Okay, 1 second, here we go. All right, now let's see. Beautiful bread. So we'll grab a butter knife here. And go ahead and put some butter on. So let's see how this tastes. Oh my gosh, that is so good. So, yeah, it's very good. So I hope this helped you guys if you're looking to make a crusty artisan type bread that you would make in the cloak in the loaf pan. You can use that recipe from the cloak, and I'm glad that I figured it out, and I hope it helps some of you that were looking and were upset that you couldn't find one. This one works great, and you know, I didn't do anything differently than what's in the cookbook there. So it's delicious. It tastes really great, and I'm going to go off and have some more. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.